Stay out. Stay the hell out. That was the powerful message by former Member of Parliament in Canada, Charlie Angus, to Kristi Noem, who's now on the advisory board of a company in Canada called Nova Red. We know what you're up to. We know what you've done. Stay the hell out. Now, Charlie Angus delivered this powerful speech at Parliament in Canada. I want to show you what went down. This is a speech you're going to want to watch every minute of it. And as you know, Charlie Angus now leads Meidas Canada. So make sure you subscribe to Charlie's channel, the Meidas Canada channel as well. Take it away, Charlie.
Canadians were shocked and offended when it was announced that Kristi Noem had been appointed to the board of a Vancouver-listed mining company. Kristi Noem's horrific human rights abuses as head of Homeland Security raises serious questions about why Nova Red Mining brought her on as the face of their British Columbia exploration venture. Kristi Noem represents a clear threat to Canada's security and our economic independence. Copper is a strategic and key mineral that will be vital in Canada's diversification strategy to free us from the grip of the United States. Her presence in this sector raises too many red flags to be ignored. Kristi Noem has displayed her contempt for our sovereignty time and time again. She's targeted our nation. She lied about us on multiple occasions and falsely claimed that we represent a serious threat to the American people, all with the deliberate intention of undermining trust with our number one trading partner. Canadians have not forgotten her deplorable stunt at the Haskell Library on the Vermont-Canadian border, where she insulted our sovereignty and claimed that we were not a real nation. And then she lied in stating that this symbol of longstanding friendship between our two countries was a center for international drug smuggling. This is appalling behavior, but I mean, what can you expect from a woman who brags about shooting puppies? The issue of copper, though, is key. Donald Trump has claimed that copper from Canada represents a national security threat to the United States. A national security threat. That's what you say about narco gangs and terrorism. But he identified our strategic minerals as a national security threat. And he made this statement as he was appointing Kristi Noem as his envoy to the so-called Shield of the Americas. So Kristi Noem has been given quasi-diplomatic status by Donald Trump on a military political coalition of right-wing states offering intelligence support to the Trump agenda. Canada is not part of this coalition. But now Kristi Noem has been brought in as a strategic advisor by a company that is stacking its board with U.S. military connections. What's going on here? Are we to assume that her role in this Canadian copper venture is a side hustle, separate and apart from her work as Donald Trump's envoy on ensuring American dominance in the hemisphere? Our Prime Minister rightly sees copper and other critical minerals as key to building stronger economic ties with our democratic allies in Europe. This strategy is in open defiance of Trump's Done Roe doctrine that insists that Canada must be a weak vassal state serving American interests. But for Canada to bring new copper mines into production, it requires careful and respectful negotiations with the First Nations in British Columbia. Now, I've spoken with a number of people in the industry who are rightly concerned that a toxic personality like Kristi Noem could easily throw off the trust and seriously impact development of new projects. In her time as governor of South Dakota, her toxic relations with Indigenous people was so bad that it resulted her from being banned from all of their homelands. And she is going to be the one involved in moving forward copper mining on Indigenous territories in Canada. This is ridiculous. Nova Red is a company whose chief executive lives in Nevada. The company has populated its advisory board with a sequence of high-profile United States hires, a retired U.S. Army colonel with intelligence experience in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia, a retired U.S. Navy commander who conducted Cold War classified air reconnaissance and Gulf War combat support. They then brought in Kristi Noem with her toxic reputation as a key Trump loyalist. And then the company doubled down this past week on their MAGA focus by hiring Katie Zachariah, who describes herself as a Trumpette and an advisor to Donald Trump's Truth Social. And yet, because they've obtained a post office box in Canada, they are now eligible for a huge array of Canadian tax credits. This company raises multiple red flags, and questions must be asked about their stand on the corporate ESG. That's the environmental, social, and governance, which is key for any mining company to reassure investors it can deal with complex issues like First Nations, like environment, and like human rights. Wow. Kristi Noem's human rights record should have made her an anathema to any corporation looking to establish a credible reputation in Canada. Amnesty International has done a major investigation into the torture and abuse at Alligator Alcatraz, where Kristi Noem posted photos of herself standing in front of the cages. Amnesty documented, quote, a deliberate system to punish, dehumanize, and hide the suffering of people in detention. Medical neglect, torture, abuse. Over 32 people died in detention by the end of 2025 under Kristi Noem's watch. Kristi Noem oversaw illegal deportations of people not even convicted of crimes to El Salvadorian concentration camps. There were serious allegations over misspending when she was governor and in charge of Homeland Security. So what does she bring to the table? Human rights violations, torture, defying the federal court. And now she's setting up to do business with the natural resources of Canada. This morning, I call on Canada's government to examine the role of Kristi Noem and Nova Red Mining and what their plan is for our natural resource sector. She is an official of the Trump regime, and she's providing strategic advice to this company, so Canadians deserve to know what that means. Is she being paid? Is she receiving shares or stock options? Because I don't see on the books of Nova Red Mining that suggests that they have the finances to pay for someone like Kristi Noem. So is she being paid by the Trump regime to help advance this company? Does she have access to Canadian critical mineral data, strategy, financing that would help them? And would she be using her contacts that she developed in her time with Homeland Security? These are all questions we need to know. So I'm asking the minister responsible for innovation, science, and economic development to review Nova Red under the Investment Canada Act and determine whether or not there are any national security concerns. Or, let's just be simple, we should just ban her. What the hell is she doing in our country? And I say this because we remember that one of the first things that happened with Prime Minister Carney's watch was that they banned the Irish hip-hop group Kneecap. The reasons for banning Kneecap were arbitrary and then turned out to be false, yet the government moved ahead. So if they can ban Kneecap, why the hell would they have Kristi Noem deal with anything to do with our mineral sector? I raise these concerns as the economic threat to Canada continues. The Gordie Howe Bridge remains closed. The Trump regime continues to threaten and intimidate us. Kristi Noem's hatred of our country has been made clear. She has no business being involved in anything to do with our country.
Yeah, I told you, what a powerful speech there by Charlie Angus, a true fighter for the people, not just of Canada, but for people who love democracy across the world. And that is how it's done. So incredible, so humbling to have somebody like Charlie Angus lead Meidas Canada and to see him still delivering those powerful speeches at Parliament in Canada. Wow, indeed. Hit subscribe here. Help us get to 7 million subscribers. And thanks for watching.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.